What is up, Derek? 13th Series Engineering here, and I know I haven't made a video all week, but I finally got some time. It's Friday afternoon here in Utah, so we are going to make a video. This is going to start, basically, it's not a new playlist, but it's the start of what we're transitioning into next, which is some more UI stuff, some finer points, and we're going to be working with Twig templates, which we haven't used at all. For this whole video, we've used the include. I don't think we've used require. Well, we've used include. We've used blocks. Including a Twig template and the Twig. I might have misspoke. Component. Twig components. That's what we're doing. Um, Including a Twig template and a Twig component are very similar. If you do the Twig include with a with only syntax, then you basically get the same effect. And I think we haven't done with only, but we've done with before. So if you do like include, components, I don't know, whatever, success.html.twig with variable. That only, I think success actually like takes a message, but I wonder if this would work. Nope, it's angry. Takes that. Yeah, we're not we're not quite using that right, but anyways, that's the syntax because it's inside a turbo frame. That doesn't work, but basically components do a very similar thing, except that it allows you to have a PHP class like on the back of that component, so you can get into some really crazy stuff and you can actually build out everything using components. Of course we are using turbo frames, and for like these views this is like the best way to do this, but when you want to reuse things and save on HTML, then you use a component. And we're going to use this to segue into our the next thing, which is going to be live components. But we need to understand components first for that. Blah, blah, blah. Essentially, this is what we're doing. Link will be in the description for this. And I am actually having a bit of trouble. So with this whole markup syntax, this new syntax, where it's like Twig, whatever, PHP Storm doesn't recognize it. If you do the Twig tag, if you do like Twig, we're making dropdowns, by the way. If you do this, PHP Storm throws a fit, and I can't find a plugin to fix this or figure out what the deal is. So if anyone has seen this, you should definitely let me know because I would love to fix it. But basically, we have a class, blah, 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 where we can call, different functions. It's just, if you use get package count, it's just this right here, dot package count. You just drop the get. So there's just a ton of stuff that we can use in here. And we're going to be doing some interesting stuff. We're going to be creating components. We're going to use a service as a singleton to share things, and we're going to basically display, filtered results. We're going to do drop-down filters using live data to do all this. And let's see, where was that? Blah, blah, blah. Live components, that's what I'm looking for. There we go. Live components, I'll put the link in the description for this as well. Super, super cool. It basically, I think it uses Ajax, but it just essentially allows you to call PHP functions, like this. You can call PHP functions basically inside of a Twig, like on events. So this is what we're going to be getting into, but we need to understand the Twig components first. And you can see here syntax is a little different. You just add this as live component, and then you have props and all this. And this is really getting into some cool MVC stuff, at least with the syntax. This is very similar to Blazor, so it's a cool way to do MVC. Now, here's the thing. Building a whole app out like with components and live components, yeah, it makes it like a single page app. However, you don't always want to do that because you can end up writing a bunch of different things. Like you have all these little blocks that you know are always changing and updating, and can end up be a lot of work that you know you don't necessarily need. So that's something that you definitely want to consider. And even in the docs, the Symfony docs, um, it basically tells you like, hey, can render out Vue.js and Twig. That's cool. Actually, I haven't really got a chance to look at some of these things. Um, Super cool though. Super cool. Basically, yeah, we just have a Vue component. Vue component. I don't like this syntax versus like Vuex. This is a little like, I don't know, hard to follow compared to how Vue normally works. Um, Maybe we'll do a Vue tutorial at some point and like build out an API with Symfony. That would be pretty cool. Anyways, kind of getting off topic for this video. Um, with turbo frames, you know, this is a great kind of this is a great way to, you know, swap in and out a lot of markups. So this using this for like a view, this is great. Using it for search pagination, that's great. There is a pagination UX utility we'll go through as well at some point. But these live components, they're meant to be like smaller things you're going to reuse. So for us, we're going to do some drop downs. So we have like these view parts, filter, part type, sort, and all of that. We're going to do these ones first. I was thinking of doing the shipyard thing. But you can also handle forms with these, which is super cool. So all of our form handling is done, you know, in a controller, which is fine. That's pretty normal. But you can do it in a component as well, and you can make it a live component that validates in real time and does all this stuff. And essentially, though, you are going to have the form submit when it is able to be submitted, when it's validated and all that stuff. It's going to go to, you know, an actual controller route for the submit. So, you know, you still do have to do a lot of this stuff. You're not getting, you know, the validation, live validation is helpful. Of course, you could write that yourself in JavaScript, but that would be kind of a pain in the butt to maintain. So yeah, there's just a lot of different use cases, and you really have to decide architecturally what's, you know, what's going to give the best user experience, what's going to be the most maintainable, and what is going to give the best user experience as well, and what might be the quickest to develop, because sometimes Twig components can end up being a little long-winded to actually build out. So if we go to our view parts table, these drop-downs, we're going to just replace these, you know, basically using Twig components, and we kind of already have that here, right? So we have parts filter, the filters. Of course, I can't do that. Missing a plugin. Parts filters. This is where we're going to put our components. These are all going to be rendered dynamically, and what we could actually do is basically just put these in like a for loop if we wanted to, and using PHP we could pass in an array of different, you know, different stuff to render out instead of like repeating them. Of course, it's never going to be more than 3. Maybe there's another one we're going to add or something, but that part doesn't need to be dynamic, so we're not going to worry about that yet. We're just going to basically write these out really simply. We could write a service to do it though, but we'll kind of go through all that. So the first thing is, I did have this installed, I was playing with it, but I removed it. So you just composer require Symfony UX Twig component. It gets all this stuff, and I wonder if it installs a console command to it. I don't think it does. Oh yeah, There we go. Or live component. Okay, cool. So make Twig component dropdown. That's going to be the name of our component. Make this a live component. No. Alright, so as you can see, we need to add this to get add. So this does this in the components directory. Now, unfortunately for us, I've already been using the components directory, but that's okay. It's okay that there's other stuff in here. That's not a big deal. We might go ahead and refactor that later. Now, let me show you where you can actually change this. Maybe we could go ahead and do it now. Components, Twig. That's not where I really want that. How should we name this? Maybe we'll go like components global? I don't know. I do want it in some place new. And now, even though I think there's two ways we can probably do this. Let's see here. It tells you where in the config file, which config file it puts stuff into, but we're going to use this. You can tell it to use whatever template you want. It really doesn't matter. Configuration. Twig component.yaml, which I seem to be missing for some reason. But we can add, this is for our PHP namespaces, but we can add, you know, different directories for all this stuff if we want to do this that way. But you definitely don't have to. We can also just go and right here, it made us a PHP file, which we need to add all this to get, and Twig component, and then we can just go like template components Twig dropdown.html.twig, and cool. We're gonna need to pass it some stuff. I think you want to make these private. We'll find out though. Just look in the docs. Public. Yeah, that makes sense. You probably want them to be public. Public, let's just call it dropdown name. And we can default that. Or we can just leave it blank and make sure to always pass something to it. Cool. Okay. Here, we're just going to take this. And we're also going to do extra classes. So, and this will just be a string. But this is a cool way. I think we haven't gone over this yet, but this is a cool way. Like I said, this is basically the with only. This is just basically the with only syntax, but we can pass it classes, and you could print out. You could do an array and print out each one with like a space in between it, or you can just pass it a string of the classes that get added on. So if I go like component drop down, it's got to be uppercase, and then I need classes, and well, this isn't going to have anything, but the next ones will have like margin start 2 because we need some spacing on there. So these will then get passed in, and and they should render out as CSS because we have them right there. But then we also have drop-down name. And as you can see, this is getting pretty similar so far to just doing the regular, you know, include syntax type of deal. Drop-down name, and we'll do filter. What do we got? Filter, part type, and sort, which is kind of like filter. Part type, sort. So basically we're just recreating this. We have the drop-down name in there, and all we've really done is pass some a variable to it. We've told it what Twig file to look at. Cool. I wonder if I might need to add like templates to that. I don't think it's going to find this, but that's okay. We can get that sorted. If I refresh this, I bet we're going to get an issue. Yeah, of course, because we're not going to get a symfony error because we're in a turbo frame. We just get content missing. View parts. Variable classes does not exist. I think it does. Oh, sure, because we probably didn't add it here. You're supposed to be able to do that though, which is interesting. Variable drop-down name does not exist. Because I can't spell. What do you guys think? Should drop-down be like, should the down be uppercase? I don't know. As you can see though, we have all these things. We need to probably pass in icon types as well. But here's the cool thing. We can call a function in here, like get icon. Oh, I don't know if I wanted to delete that. And of course this is kind of like arbitrary, but let's see. We want filter, sort, and part type. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, because I already got rid of that filter one. Filter needs to be a funnel. Icon. Let's find a good one. Or it's like that martini shape, you know? This one. Filter. Yeah, okay. So we'll do funnel, which I think is just BIBI funnel. Alright. In our component, we're going to have this dot icon, which should do get icon. And if drop-down name equals filter, return filter. And as you can see here, this is just going to tack on to the, and you could get fancy with this. You could do some cool Twig filters so you don't actually even do this. You just do, you can do this dynamically based off their name and having that syncing up to an icon. But of course, whatever you want to name it might not match the icon. And this is something that we might want to pass as an argument, like public string icon at some point. But this is just an example of how you could use this as a function. Part type and sort. Part type, this is like layers. and let's see here. Sort up, yeah, and layers. Okay, sort up, cool. We need a default, so we'll just do like return filter, I guess. Sure. Why not? Or maybe there's just a generic sort one. This should actually be like funnel. Yeah, I like that. Sort. Cool. Okay. So if we go and reload this, now we've got these icons loaded in. These ones. Let me delete those other ones so it's less confusing. But now we've got these drop-down components. We've got the name. We've got all this stuff. And now what we can do is, and this is the cool thing about Symfony and Twig, is that you get to do all this object-oriented PHP as far as rendering stuff, as far as markup, as far as UI. And it's so cool because you're really using PHP to write, you know, markup and do UI things. And we're doing it with like a dynamic single-page app. Like it's like literally a single-page PHP app. It's crazy what we can do. But we're gonna make a service here, and we're gonna do sure. Drop down service. And then what we can do is we can, in our drop down class, we can go and like inject this service into here. So I can be like for, I don't know, options for this dot options as option. No, it's in. Twig is in. And I might have this backwards. For option in, right. I do have it backwards. It makes sense phonetically when you say it. This dot options. You know what's funny? I just actually learned this. You know, you say the phonetic alphabet, you say things phonetically. That word phonetic actually comes from an ancient civilization, the Phoenicians. Not to be confused with people from Phoenix, but Phoenicia was a civilization around the Mediterranean, relatively old, 1500 BC. Obviously, ancient Egypt and ancient Greece are like much older. I think they're a precursor to Carthage, is my understanding, and they had a lot of knowledge. Some people think they actually invented the Pythagorean theorem, but that is where our phonetic alphabet comes from. They like basically developed our phonetic sounding alphabet that you know, eventually the Romans started using, and that's where Latin came from. So English, Spanish, French, all of those languages, Polish, they all come from the Phoenicians because they all come from Latin. They're all Anglo-Saxon Latin languages. So fun fact of the day, I did not know that for the longest time, but that was a cool thing. Okay, we already got some issues. What is it? A block must start with a tag name. Yep, I didn't finish this, and it's going to say there's no options thing, no options. So we can do like public get options, and that's going to return an array. I'm doing really bad at comments here. These should probably have some comments too. We should probably be a little more descriptive, but you know, whatever. We're just doing this for fun. Okay, so here's what we do. Injection. We're going to do public function construct, and here's where we do our auto wiring. Drop-down service, and it added it, and then generate, which one is it? Getters and setters. I just need to implement, no. I need to generate the, I normally just write this out, but I really need to generate, come on, whatever. You know what I mean. I need to generate this, these two lines. I forgot how to do that. Drop down service equals drop down service. Now we have this globally. Yes, it's read from, it's assigned but never read. So we can use this here. We can now use our service, drop down service, get options, and we're going to pass that drop down name. And of course, this is all like just hard coded stuff. It's not dynamic. It's not really reusable. It's just kind of hard coded for all these things that we're doing right now because that makes sense. But you can see how you could make this dynamic to like fill in whatever you wanted to. And we are going to get to that at some point to get rid of some of this, you know, these strings and whatever. And we should probably have like enums in there someplace. But here's what we'll do. We will end up doing like some default stuff to kind of have this make more sense. Get options, boom, 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 and this is going to be drop down type, and that's also going to return an array. Now, normally you would use this to like connect to a database or something, and we will get to that because for live components, it's not going to be happy with this because there's no hyper. Right. It didn't return anything. For the table that displays everything, we can have that be a live component for filtering. So that's the cool thing is that as we filter stuff, it will like update that as a live component automatically using a service. So we can share a service here. The drop-down service can do these operations using another service to return only the things that we want to see. So that's kind of what our live component demo is going to be. Now we take one of these. These are going to want to be buttons, not A tags. This is not compliant because we're not going to use an href. They're going to be a button action that does something with a live component. The first thing we're going to do is change the name. It's going to be appended to have like whatever the active filter is. It's going to be like, you know, dot my parts, or I don't know, something like that. So you know what you're filtering on. These are going to be like checkboxes essentially at some point. But just for the sake of this, for right now, we're just going to need a name. So option.name. Well, we'll keep it simple. We'll just do option. We'll get to the other stuff later. Getting ahead of myself. We're basically going to have the same exact thing like this. And could I just set a global, or could I just set an object options and populate it here? Yes, definitely could do that. You just, set a bunch of things and call it on construct. But that's not the point. Just demonstrating like a way to do this. So we have like a similar, this is kind of like a switch, some type of logic like this. We need some default, which is just going to be like, I don't know, it's like A through Z. That's just our default. Make all these arrays, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if it's filter, what do we want to have? Part type, we already know that. We want to have the part type. So like cockpit, bridge, weapon, and I'm going to need to like actually include all of them in there. I could just go to create part and like look at it right now. Cockpit, thruster, weapon, frame, thruster, shielding, warp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Communications, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that was the last one, right? Communications. Okay, so that's part type. Drop down type. Yep. We'll just give this a default. Like you could just pass. If you don't pass anything, you know, it's optional. It'll just be empty. That's fine. Sort. We're gonna have power ascending. Power descending. Cost ascending. Cost descending. Oldest. Newest. Most used. Sure. Filter. We're going to have my parts, all parts, and you know, part type is kind of like in there, I guess. I just decided to make it separate. What's another thing to filter by? I don't know. Your parts, yeah, I think that's fine. We can just have both of those. We'll figure that out later. Cool. I didn't actually need to refresh that, but we go to my parts. Now we have all these blah, blah, blah. See, this all gets dynamically rendered. And this is all the same thing. And as you can see right here, we have our drop down. And there's our class that's added right there. So we have all of our stuff here. And then we're going to use live components to, next time, we'll make this a live component, and it'll be super, super easy to just, to add like whatever's selected. We're going to just replace the name of this, and we're still going to need to have the type stay as a filter though, so that's another challenge we're going to have to figure out, but that's just a basic overview of how a part works. Now that we have all this coded out, we have all these options. You need to add something, but you could just have like default things here. Price lowest. Obviously this doesn't make sense for our project, but oh man, I can't spell highest. I think that's right. Price lowest, price highest, whatever. So now if we go into our parts view, oh, it's the filter parts. Parts filters, I mean. If we just made like a new one, test, it should just have our default things, or we're going to get a Twig issue. But okay, there you go. It's just a default filter. And what would make this more dynamic is obviously adding the array of the options in here. But there's some cooler stuff we can do instead of just adding that in every time. You know, where we can do it dynamically. We can get it from, you know, a database. We can have a custom query to find what are all the different, you know, types of parts available. Or there's just so many options you could do. But anyways, next time we're going to use this to actually be able to sort and filter our table. Now that we have all these failed turbo stream test parts in here, might add some pagination to it as well. But I will catch you guys later. All the links are going to be in the description for all the Symfony UX stuff and Twig components. So, see ya!